This is Sabotage from DPS HQ. Just wanted to bring you a new toy that we're playing around with, which is the Lightning Druid. I've taken Pancho, I've removed all of his Earth stuff and put him into a Lightning build. We're going to jump into a tier 97, I suppose. Yeah, that'll do. To show you how this goes, I'll also show you that we're not anywhere near fully kitted out yet. There's a few things that we'd like to change around, and I haven't even tried this with the Melted Heart. I'm not even going to bother trying to move that across just yet. I just wanted to show you how strong this thing actually is. You kill things before you can even really see them. So what we're going to do is start to build up the lightning damage on the first bag, and then we just start moving forward and dropping lightning bolts on top of everybody. And you can see everything is dying before we even get there. This thing's actually pretty cool. Now, this thing takes down Uber Duriel. I've got a clip that actually shows me taking him down in about 10 seconds. I'm not sure how I can clip the two together with this, but it's there, and I might upload it as like a little YouTube short. You can see when we get attacked from behind, all we have to do is turn around and kill everything behind us. If we're getting attacked from the front, we just keep walking and attack everything in front of us. Now, I haven't even walked into that room yet, but everything's already dead. Pretty nutty build. Pretty nutty build. So what I'd like to take you through today is just what we've done, how we've made it work. The Paragon board we're using, we've stolen a lot of the Paragon board. It's a very similar Paragon board to Warlog, to Rob, to a couple of others who are all using the same sort of thing. And what we're doing is just basically making a few minor modifications on those Paragon boards. You can see here that it does need some tankiness, so we're going to be adjusting this a little bit further than we have already, just to get a little bit of extra tankiness on the build. But if you kill things before you see them, they don't have a chance to kill you. That's the whole idea behind this entire build. Pretty nutty build. So it can take on 97s, as you can see. It will probably take on 100s. You've just got to be careful. We've got to build some more tankiness into this, so we'll be working on it a little bit more as we go along. Your armor in the dungeon sits at 14,000. Outside it's not that high, but inside it is. So you are armor capped, you are res capped. All of that works, and all of that is at its maximum. I'll just quickly go back in here to show you. So you are armor capped, you're at 14,000 here, 14,000 life, 10,000 attack. So let's start going through the build. First thing we'll do is go through all the gear. I'll show you the Seneschal construct, the boons that we're using, and then we'll go into the Paragon board. So when it comes down to gear, you do need Tempest Raw. There's no two ways about it. It makes your Storm skills, Werewolf skills. It also means that you have a chance to get some Spirit back, and this is very Spirit hungry, as you saw. So Tempest Raw is a must, but there is no Uber uniques you'll see on this. There is just a couple of uniques. Next down on our chest we put Juggernaut, and we want nothing but damage reduction and armor. Whatever damage reduction you can get is great. You can do damage reduction while fortified. I've gone straight damage reduction, damage to close, damage reduction from distant, and your Juggernaut's on there. That's what armor caps you. Next down we go to the Unsung Wraps, which is what makes this build do what it does. You get critical strike chance, you get lucky hit chance, you get lightning storm ranks, and you get defiance ranks. And you'll see when we go through the skill tree why these things are really, really good. We use Tibalt's Will, and then we use Trample, and we use Earthen Bulwark to make ourselves unstoppable, which gives us our resource back, because this is actually quite resource heavy, and we want to stick away from using any basic skill. That's one of the main things we try to do with these builds, is try to stick away from basic skills so that you can just have all your resources filling back up really quick. On your boots, you want movement speed. You don't need spirit cost reduction. You can go for another resistance, or you can go for damage reduction. This just happened to be what fell on these boots, but the fire and cold I needed, and I needed them to be able to res cap fire and cold resistance, which you can see are just above the 120. You can do another resistance cap on here, which will help you out. I've got critical strikes also grant movement speed, because I love my movement speed, and that's what we do. We're trying to make this as quick as possible, because it would be something that we'd like to try and use in the Gauntlet, but I highly doubt that this is going to be a Gauntlet ready build. It will kill everything and it will kill it all really, really fast. It's just not a very fast build to get through it very fast. Next down we go to the Shepherd Serrated Cleaver. You want a two-handed axe for damage to healthy, so you can hit things as hard as you can right at the beginning while they are healthy. What we have here is not anywhere near ideal. All stats, yeah, you could go with that. I'd prefer willpower. Critical strike damage, core skill damage, and damage to close. We don't want two of those. We do want the critical strike, but we want damage to distant and damage to close enemies. So the reason you want that when we go in the Paragon board, you'll see, is we're trying to find that on our rings as well, but you'll get a huge multiplicative for damage to close and damage to distant enemies. So swap out the core skill, get the critical strike instead. Swap out the all stats, get willpower instead. Ring number 1, we've gone physical damage, damage to crowd control, fortify, and maximum life. Maximum life, yes. The rest, no. You want critical strike damage, damage to distant, damage to close, and max life, or if you can get it, resource gen or max spirit, but max life does help you be a little bit more tanky. And then we've got Ring of the Stampede, so we've got one additional companion. In addition, your companions deal more damage. We don't care about the companions dealing more damage. What we care about is the core skills dealing an additional 20x multiplicative damage for each active companion. So with this, you now have 3 wolves instead of 2, you now have 4 ravens instead of 2, and you now have 2 poison creepers instead of 1. So you go from having 2, 2, and 1, which is 5, to having 3, 2, and 4, which is huge, absolutely huge. You get 9, so it's 180 times multiplicative damage for this particular aspect. That's what gets you really, really strong. This ring, you want the same thing again, resource gen, critical strike damage, then you want damage to distant, damage to close. So if I could get rid of that critical strike, I would. I'd probably get rid of that resource gen and put life on there as well, but these are really good rings. That's what you're looking for. Crit strike chance, damage to distant, damage to close, and then either maximum life as your number 1, or resource gen or maximum spirit as your number 2s. On our amulet, we have put lightning storm, critical strikes, spawn, dancing bolts, which is really, really good. You can also do, you do more damage, or your core skills do more damage based on the amount of fortify you have. Both of those will work really, really good. The passive that I have here is Toxic Claws. You do not want that. You want Envenom, because Envenom goes up 10% multiplicative every single time it takes a jump. So 3 ranks here to Envenom would be 30% multiplicative extra damage. You do want movement speed, and then you do want, potentially a better thing would be damage reduction for both of those. I don't get that much fortify at the moment with this build the way it's going. We might build more into that later on, but that's the other reason I've got the dancing bolts that seek out enemies and deal damage, because our fortify isn't all the way up there at the moment. Next we go to our Seneschal Construct. Flash of Adrenaline is just the usual stuff. So Flash of Adrenaline, tactical and duration to make it go quicker, and then Safeguard for the damage reduction. You could put Fortify here, but then I've just found that you don't feel anywhere near as tanky. You're a heap more squishy. That's why I've used this. Next we go to Tempest, and we've got Breaking Support. This is more so just to break the barriers, because Lightning is horrible with barriers. You have to get in the barrier, and you don't want to be that close, because this is squishier than a lot of our other builds. It can still run things very well. You're just a bit more squishy, but you do want efficiency support for the critical strike chance, and then you do also want the resource support, so that every time it hits, you get resource back. Then we go across to our boons. So what we've done on our boons, I've taken the first one as wariness, just to reduce damage from elites. Next one down, I've gone to Scythe Talons for the increased critical strike, and then increased critical strike damage with Avarian Wrath. Next one down, now you could play around with this depending on how you want to do it. If you do run Petrify, you could make your ultimate last longer. If you want to build in Fortify, you can build in Fortify using this, which is actually really, really good. I use it to restore spirit, because I find that this is extremely spirit hungry. You can swap over to the Fortify if you want, and the Fortify will actually help you get a little bit more Fortify on the build. And then I would swap Trample and put Blood Howl in instead as well. Because you have Earthen Bullwark to break CC. Blood Howl is also another defensive skill. It'll give you some spirit, and then you can actually use it for this, so that when you use Earthen Bullwark or Blood Howl, you will get some Fortify. Or you can actually reset your cooldowns, but I don't use any of them. They're all around me just for the extra attack power that you get on your two-handed weapon. On the bottom one, we don't use any overpower. You could technically use this to get some static discharge, but it's not. It doesn't hit hard, and it's not that good. I use masochistic, which means critical strikes with shapeshifting skills actually have a chance to heal you. That makes you feel a little bit more tanky. You can also use Calm Before the Storm if you're using an ultimate, and what it'll do is every time your nature magic skills hit, you'll see exactly what I mean by this, because our lightning is every type of skill pretty much. Then your ultimate cooldown is reduced, and so you can get your ultimate cooldown petrified to come up a lot quicker. Again, I use this because of the heal and just to make myself feel a little bit more tanky. So my boon setup is slightly a little bit different to the guys who are using a build similar to this. Then next we go into the skill tree. So let's take a quick look. 2 points in here to move along because we just want to. Max out your lightning storm and just go all the way through to raging, so you get the additional lightning strike. 1 point in Heart of the Wild to get across to wild impulses so that we do more damage, and then we go down here and we do more critical strike damage against close enemies. There is an argument for the movement speed if you want it here. I've taken it out because I've got the points in other things. Earthen bulwark all the way across to preserving so that you get a little bit of fortify. That's where you get a little bit built in from. Then we go to ancestral fortitude to get our non-physical resistances up, and then we go across here for vigilance to get some damage reduction. You want to take every single one of your companions. So 1 point into wolves, 1 point into poison creeper, 1 point into ravens. Poison creeper, you go across here to critical strike chances increase when you get hit by poison creeper, which is really good. And for the ravens, you go down to brutal so that you get the 2 additional ravens. I've also put nature's reach 3 points for the 9x multiplicative damage, and it gets doubled to 18 if enemies are immobilized, and your lightning does have a chance to immobilize. Down here for some passives, your storm skills can make enemies vulnerable. Every 14 seconds a lightning bolt just comes and hits, but we're only doing that so that we can go to electric shock. So what this does is your lightning skills can immobilize enemies, and if they're already immobilized, you do 21x multiplicative damage. Here's trample all the way through to savage for the 40 spirit. That's self-explanatory. Neurotoxin all the way down to envenom. This is where you want your 6 points. Like I said, I've got toxic claws where you deal, your werewolf skills deal base damage as poison. I would much prefer it to be in envenom so that we have 6 points there. We then put 3 points into defiance, and this is where the other one comes where you get the extra points. So you get the points into defiance, which gives this, takes it basically up to 24x multiplicative damage. I've lifted Circle of Life all the way up so that any nature magic skills heal me, to give me more heal, and then Natural Disaster, which will basically mean that your storm skills deal more damage again to stunned, immobilized, and knocked back enemies. Now, the reason we're doing so much of this is because our Lightning Storm is a core skill, a shape-shifting skill, a nature magic skill, a storm skill, a werewolf skill, and a channeled skill. So it does a lot of different things. You'll notice I'm not using any other of the ultimates here, but I have gone down. Now, this is one that I've changed as well for Earthen Might, so that if you damage an enemy with an earth skill, you have a 5% chance to restore all your spirit. And then you also have the chance increased to 10% to restore all your spirit and cause all your attacks to be critical strikes for 5 seconds. Lightning is a very heavy crit build. 5 seconds of critical strikes is huge. Now, you might be wondering why I use Earthen Might and how the hell I do that. Well, you would have seen on the ring over here, the Earthen Might key passive also applies to your storm skills. That was one of the things that we, oh sorry, I forgot to cover that in the gear, but that's what we do. That's why we use it. So your Earthen Might key passive also applies to storm skills. I think personally, for the chance to restore your spirit and for the chance for everything to be critical strike, this is actually really, really good compared to casting an earth skill will trigger a storm, or storm will trigger an earth, and then they just count as each other. So I don't think that Nature's Fury would be the best option there. I think that Earthen Might gives you a much, much better way of doing this, and it's worth putting it on one of your rings to be able to get it. Next we go over to our Paragon boards. So I've got 7 boards here. Like I said, I stole this off. Warlog's got it similar to this. Rob's got it similar to this. There is another guy who also has it similar to this, and they're using the whole 7 board setup. I've basically taken that and I've moved a few things around and just decided to try and fix it up a little bit. We did initially move out the poison. We've put it back now that we can, because we're not using the lightning resistance up here. I don't see any point in it when we can use our gems to do that instead. But let's go and start going through. So here we take the damage, here we take the maximum life, we come up in the first board and we put territorial. That gives you some damage reduction against close enemies. We take all the things that we can, we take the resistances here, we get all the dexterity, and then we run straight up into board 2, which is heightened malice. Now in heightened malice we put Earthen Sky. And then what that will do is give us bonus to magic nodes, so we get bonus damage reduction from poisoned enemies over here, which is great because all of our enemies are always poisoned, and we do extra damage to poisoned enemies. We come out to the right and we take the damage to poisoned enemies. We come up here and take more damage to poisoned enemies as well. If I could get up here, it would be really good because we do have a lot of poisoned enemies nearby because of toxic claws, but we aren't, so at the moment we're just going to hold on for that. Board 3, then we come out to this side and we take the inner beast board. With the inner beast board we put keeper, and then we just come up to the right here. We basically take everything. We take some critical strike damage. Board 4, board 4. Board 4 we come up and we take thunderstruck. This is the reason why you want close and distant bonuses. My current bonus here is 30x. If you can get more close and distance, you can get this up a lot higher. But in board 4, what we do is we put fulminate. This is what's going to give your extra lightning damage. As we start to rank this up, lightning damage will be really good, and it also gives you 12x increased multiplicative damage to healthy and injured enemies. So while they're above 85, you hit them hard, then you sort of just taper off, and then while they hit 35, you hit them even harder again. Board 5, we come out into here, and this is where we are going to put, this is Lust for Carnage. This is where we're going to put our electrocution board. Now, electrocution, again, here I've taken the extra willpower over here, and I've also taken the extra stuff up the top here. What this does is give me 73% more lightning bolt damage, and this will give me an extra 37 on top of that. So our lightning bolt damage is 406.6 at the moment, and most of these glyphs here that we're looking at, that we're using, so we're at 19 on electrocution, 15 on fulminate, 15 on keeper, so we're not even up there in the 21s for all the boards yet, so this will get substantially stronger. Next thing we want to do is we want to come out here. This is the one we want to use for board 6. We stock spirit into constricting tendrils. We come up and we just take as many of the dexterity nodes as we can to just hit that, so that critical strikes increase the damage enemies take by 2 up to 12 every 20 seconds. So this is basically procced constantly, which is really, really good. And then board 7, which I'm actually questioning whether I want it or not. Board 7, we are in, I think it's Ancestral Guidance. Yes, it is. So after spending 75 spirit, you deal 30x multiplicative damage for 5 seconds. We do spend this really quickly. We do get the 30x really quickly. I'm wondering whether or not it's going to be better for us to actually come down here and get the poisoning damage for the 45x multiplicative damage. But we'll do some testing and we'll let you know how that goes along with the Paragon board. But that's basically the Paragon board. That's everything that we've got. That's how we play. Really good build. Really, really strong when it comes to beating Uber bosses. Great in the open world. Great in Nightmare Dungeons, in vaults, in everything else. And as you saw, like as we're going through Nightmare Dungeons, what you want to do is you want to stand and you want to just build up your lightning strikes first. The reason we want to do this is because we want to have as many lightning strikes coming out as possible, which is going to give us more damage as we go through all this. And then you just want to try and stay out of everyone's way. And we've got some damage reduction guys here, so that's not going to be fun. But you just keep shooting your lightning bolts, run back a little bit. If they're damage reduction, it is going to take you a little bit longer because, you know, with single target, it's very hard to aim a lightning bolt when they all just go wherever they want. You can see that every time these lightning bolts hit, everyone gets poisoned, which is really, really good. But yeah, level 97, spam lightning bolt, spam everything you can. Use trample to get your spirit back up. That's basically all that's being used for. And your Earthen Bulwark, the same. As soon as Earthen Bulwark comes up, if you need it for life, or if you need it to break CC, or if you need it to build more spirit, use it to build more spirit. But outside of that, anyone else that comes up and tries to attack you, you can see, dies pretty damn quick. And you can literally be clearing rooms ahead of you just by planning ahead a little bit and knowing that there's going to be enemies. So you can see here, I know that there's going to be enemies in these rooms, I know that there's enemies in that room, I know that there's enemies in this room. So I just shoot my lightning down a little bit earlier, You can see that it's gone ahead of me here. The lightning actually runs ahead of where I'm standing, and it's clearing the room before I even get into the room. Fantastic build, a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to be on. I think we can get it a little bit tankier, but if you're looking for something to just completely annihilate uber bosses and take out the open world and have a bit of fun with, then Dancing Bolts Lightning I think is definitely one to go. Thank you very much, guys. If you like the videos and if you like these builds, please like, subscribe, and do all those usual things on our YouTube channel so that we can rank up there. We love making these videos. We hope you love watching them. If there's anything else you'd like to see or any other builds that you'd like us to tackle, please let us know and we'll go ahead and try them for you. Have a great afternoon, everybody, and we'll see you for the next one.